Okay, no, one is rolled and one is not rolled. Which one do I prefer? Hey guys, it's Alice. So if you haven't seen me before, welcome to my channel. Let's be friends. That was weird. Today's video is going to be my May wrap up. I'm going to try to start doing these every month, and this is a bit of a disappointing month to start on though. It wasn't the best reading month for me. I'm going to talk about it anyway because, you know, why not? So this month I read 4 books. The reason that this happened was because I started reading a book called Wayfarer by Alexandra Bracken because I loved the first book, Passenger, and it's about 530 pages and I got 220 pages in and I just wasn't enjoying it. Like, it was more effort to read it than like I wanted to. Like I wouldn't read for days and like I think 2 weeks because I was putting off reading this, and I was like, if I'm putting off reading this, like I'm never gonna read any other books just because I don't like DNFing, so I don't like admitting that I did not finish. I'm not going to finish it because that's, I don't know, I don't like doing that. But unfortunately I got stuck on that, so I just had to put it down so I could carry on reading other things, which is unfortunate, but what can you do? The books I read this month in order. The first book I read was actually cheating a bit because it's a novella, and this is A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J Maas, and this is the novella that comes after the third book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. And what I think is happening is there's that trilogy, this book, and then I think there's going to be another trilogy, so they're like connected but separate. I'm not really sure. I really liked this. I gave this 4 stars because I loved these characters. I love these characters so much. Asriel is my favourite. I love him. I love all of them. But the thing I will say with this is that it does lack a plot. It's amazing if you've missed these characters. I just love Sarah J Maas's writing. I love the way that she portrays the worlds and the characters and the relationships. So I really missed it, so I loved this. I flew through it in a day or 2, I think. It's 230 pages and I loved it, but it did lack a plot. I think my opinion on it is I loved it because I stan this series, but there was really nothing in here that couldn't have been put into an actual book rather than a novella. So that is what I will say about it. And it is kind of quite expensive. I think it's like £5-6 on Amazon, which is where I bought it. I had it pre-ordered because I love this series so much. I don't want to say what it's about because it completely spoils all of the other books just by the nature of what's happening. So if you like the other books in this series, I would completely recommend to read this. And if you haven't read any books by Sarah J Maas, go and do it. Like, you will not regret it. She is amazing. She's an amazing author. She's one of my favourite authors. And then the next book I read, so I think I read this book in a day actually, and it was a contemporary. So I read Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith, and I liked this one because the main character is called Alice. So it's about a girl called Alice whose best friend Teddy, she's been in love with him for years, and it's his birthday, so she goes and she buys him a lottery ticket, and it's made up of all of these numbers that mean things. So like his birthday, her birthday, his like jersey number, like his favourite number, his apartment number, stuff like that. And he ends up winning this massive, like, it's something ridiculous, like millions and millions of pounds. 141 million dollars, and obviously that completely changes his life around. And so this book is about him deciding what he's going to do with that money, and her kind of watching him possibly change a little bit as the money kind of comes into his life because he's grown up. Dad hasn't been in the picture, mum working a really, you know, tiring job to try and get their lives together, and so he's just won this and it's completely flipped his life around. He obviously feels indebted to Alice because she bought the ticket. So it's about them, like how they deal with the money, what they do with it, how it affects their lives. And I think it's just a lovely contemporary. I loved it and I would really recommend it. 100%, definitely. It was a really cute one. So I gave this 5 out of 5 stars because I really did love it. Okie doke. So the next book I read was The Young Elise by Marie Lu. It took me a week to read this one. So this book is about a girl called Adelina, and she basically, in the world where they live, there was this kind of disease going around when everyone was younger, and it infected all of these, you know, women and children, and loads of people died from it. But if you did survive, you were branded as kind of a malfetto because you normally ended up with some kind of defect. Whether you have a different colour hair, whether you've got a weird birthmark, whether you, like, maybe there's something wrong with your skin or your limbs or something like that. And so Adelina is marked as malfetto just because her hair is like silver and grey. Her father is horrible because it's like a disgrace to have a Malfetto in your family, and so he doesn't show her any love, and her life is really horrible. She is found by the Young Elise, and these are a group of, I think they're all teenagers actually, who are Malfettos and have powers that have manifested from that disease. So she is learning that, you know, she might not just be an ordinary Malfetto. Like, her father was basically trying for years to get her to have some kind of power so she could be useful to him, and she just didn't have anything. She couldn't find anything. So it's her kind of discovering whether there is something different about her, where she fits in this world, so she's only known like pain and hatred. I enjoyed this book because the main character was different to any kind of fantasy main character I'd ever read. She's a lot darker, and not kind of darker in an endearing way, darker in a kind of scary way, and not the typical hero that you read about in the books. But on the same thread of that, I gave this book 3 stars because I didn't connect with the character as much as I would have liked to. It was one of those, like, I understood their reasons for doing things, but I didn't get them. I didn't fully see eye to eye with them. But I think I'm still going to get the next book. It depends how much it is, depends, you know, all that stuff. I don't want to give up on Marilu. I still want to read some of her other books. So this wasn't an awful book. It wasn't my favourite, but I did enjoy it, and I'm glad I've read it. And so the final book I read, and probably my favourite one, would be A Traitor to the Throne by Alwyn Hamilton, and this is the sequel to Rebel of the Sands. I always get confused as to whether it's Rebel in or Rebel of, but it's Rebel of, and I loved that book. Yeah, so I read Rebel of the Sands in February, and I rated it 4 stars. I need to describe the first book now, don't I? So the first book is about this girl called Amani. It's not Armani because there's no R in it. And she grew up in this town called Dust Walk. It's in the middle of the desert. Women are treated like poop. You're basically owned by the male in your family or sold off for a husband. So being a female is really bad in that area. All of a sudden in the first book, getting caught up in this massive rebellion that's going on. I need to figure out how to explain this. Basically, there's loads of magical myths around this story, and there are these creatures called the so there are these creatures called the, I don't know how to say this, no, DJINN, so Djinn, but like plural is Djinni, and they are these mystical creatures who are immortal. They sometimes come down and sleep with females. The children that these women have are called Demji, and you are shunned if you're a Demji, cast out and attempted to be slaughtered because they don't want you. You have power and magic that no one else has, and Demji are always marked by something. It sounds very similar to Malfettos, but also Demji markings in this book seem to be a lot cooler. So one girl has purple hair, one girl has golden skin. Sometimes it could be something though as simple as eye colour. The rebel prince should be in line for the throne, but the sultan refuses to acknowledge that, and so there's a massive rebellion forming. And in the first book, Amani gets completely caught up in this, and it's about her finding out like who she is and all this stuff. So this bit is now going to be spoilery because I'm going to talk about the second book, this one, and if you haven't read the first, it'll be a spoiler. So it's a spoiler now. Amani is a Demji. We didn't know because all the difference was her eyes were just very blue. She is kidnapped and she's taken into the Sultan's palace, and she's surrounded then by the Sultan on a daily basis. The Sultan, who is the next in line, not the rebel prince, different one, who's not nice. This whole book is about trying to rescue other Demji, trying to rescue her, trying to keep this rebellion alive and going when the Sultan is, you know, at war with all of these people, and there's slaughter and there's horrible things happening, and it is incredible. It's amazing. And there was a plot twist at the end that completely threw me. And one of the reasons I love Amani, she's one of those typical protagonists who wants to save people but does still want to save herself. She's not completely like selfless. She does still want to save herself, but she recognises that there is more important things going on around the world than just her. I mark pages down when I find like quotes that I really like, and so let me see if there's any interesting ones. Oh yeah, I quite like this one. This one sums up Amani. I forced my tears to dry. I forced myself to remember I was a desert girl. I didn't have water to spare. I love it. I love her. I read this book. If I could recommend you any books out of this video, read this one. So these are all the books I read. I'm happy with that, considering that May has been my month of exams. I've had 2 coursework things due in. I've done 1 exam, and I've got 2 this coming week. You know what, I'm okay with that, I'm fine with that, and you know, this is a fat book. So yes, that is all from me for today. I'm gonna love you and leave you. I hope you've all had an amazing week, and I will see you hopefully next Monday with another video.